with Chill. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to this edition of the Daily Sovereignty Report for Friday, June 12th, 2026. My God, we're here. We made it to Friday, y'all. We made it. Time to get up. Time to brush those teeth and wash that face. Put on some deodorant and let's go. I'm your host, Aaron Thomas. That is my English name. Hauhitan is my traditional name. And today we are breaking down the critical policy shifts, legal land battles, and community victories shaping Indian country across the United States and Canada. Let's get right into the briefing, shall we? First up, a major developing story in the federal courts. A federal judge has just handed a significant procedural victory to the Ho-Chunk Nation, in their ongoing legal battles against the financial prediction platform Kalshi. The judge ruled that the tribe's lawsuit can officially move forward, explicitly stating that the Ho-Chunk Nation has a, quote, high likelihood of success, end quote, and proving that Kalshi's sports-related event contracts bypass legal frameworks. Why does this matter? For tribes everywhere, this stops outside corporations from running unregulated sports betting inside a tribe's jurisdiction, protecting decades of hard-earned economic agreements. On a broader scale, this is a massive win for economic and regulatory sovereignty. It asserts that tribal nations, not outside tech companies or federal financial regulators, hold the ultimate legal authority over gaming within their borders. So congratulations, that's a great win, not only for Ho-Chunk, but for the rest of Indian country. All right, moving to the historic fight for ancestral lands. In an unprecedented show of unity, all 9 federally recognized tribes in South Dakota have officially passed joint resolutions supporting the return of federal lands in the Black Hills back to tribal stewardship. Working alongside the Indian Collective, this unified coalition is demanding that sacred sites currently managed by the federal government be returned to Indigenous care. Now, why does this matter? The Black Hills, the Hisapa, are deeply sacred to the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota peoples. Returning this land directly empowers local communities to revitalize traditional spiritual practices and protect their own natural ecosystems. Now, this is the definition of land sovereignty. By speaking with one collective legal voice, these 9 nations are directly challenging federal ownership and proving that tribes have the inherent right to govern their own ancestral homelands. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, territorial lines are also shifting. The House Committee on Natural Resources held an official markup session to advance the Yohaviatum of San Manuel Nation Land Exchange Act. This bill streamlines a critical land swap to consolidate fragmental tribal properties. Now, this directly builds territorial sovereignty. A nation cannot efficiently enforce its laws or build housing when its borders are fragmented by federal or private plots, and consolidating land means stronger, self-determined communities. Way to go, Yohaviatum of San Manuel Nation. All right, shifting focus north of the border to Canada. The Union of BC Indian Chiefs, or the UBCIC, has issued a hardline formal rejection of the Canadian government's proposed infrastructure and major project reforms. First Nations leaders argue that these fast-track regulatory overhauls ignore environmental protections and trample on free, prior, and informed consent, or FPIC. Because of this powerful pushback, Canada has been forced to extend its engagement deadline out to July 22nd. Now, why does this matter? Major energy, mining, and pipeline projects cross directly through a lot of Indigenous territories, directly impacting local drinking water and hunting grounds. This is a direct defense of water and resource sovereignty. First Nations are sending a clear message. Canada cannot rewrite environmental codes without co-developing them on a true nation-to-nation basis. tribal governments must have a say. All right, back in Washington, D.C., all our friends up at the Big Hill. The federal administration is under the microscope. The House Subcommittee on Indian and Insular Affairs convened legislative hearings focused on cutting federal red tape. The goal is to modernize programs that fund public health and workforce deployment across Indian country. Now, why does this matter? Outdated federal bureaucracy frequently stalls vital funding, leaving local tribal departments understaffed and waiting on slow approvals. Streamlining these programs directly strengthens workforce and health sovereignty. True self determination means tribal governments must have the direct flexibility to manage resources and train their own citizens to run local institutions. All right, switching gears in tribal arts and culture, a historic premiere. Chickasaw Nation citizen and composer Zach Garcia has officially debuted his groundbreaking new orchestral symphony titled Chintalawulali. This performance beautifully blends classical structures with powerful, distinct Chickasaw cultural narratives. Now, why does this matter? It elevates Native representation in elite fine arts spaces, showing the next generation that their heritage belongs on every major stage. This is cultural sovereignty in action. Telling tribal stories through fine arts ensures that Indigenous identity is defined by Native people, protecting sacred narratives from outside commercial appropriation. And before we sign off, we have an important severe weather warning for multiple tribal communities in Indian country. The National Weather Service has issued a high risk severe weather alert for a major thunderstorm and tornado outbreak tracking across the upper Midwest and Great Lakes region. Communities in Iowa, Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and Michigan face threats of 75 plus mile per hour Jericho winds and large hail. Additionally, Canada's newly released wildfire forecast indicates that while the season started slower, a massive heat dome modeling above normal temperatures is threatening the eastern Northwest territories and Atlantic provinces with extreme drought and escalating fire risks. For our rural and remote tribal nations, monitoring localized communication and emergency preparedness over the next 48 hours is absolutely vital to keeping families and local ecosystems safe. Well, that wraps up your daily sovereignty report for Friday, June 12th. Again, smash that like and subscribe button. Make sure that you share this with your family, your friends, your relatives, that next door neighbor that always wonders what's going on around Indian country. Grab that cup of coffee, put on some earbuds, and let's go every single day. Do want to give a note that next week I will be off on vacation. I may put on a couple of episodes if I get bored on my break. But please continue to stay included in this community that we're building. I'm literally thankful for all the folks that have liked and subscribed already. We're getting a ton of folks that are very, very interested in this space. Tribal sovereignty, it's always been here. Inherent rights have always been a part of our people. So we want to keep protecting the land, keep lifting the culture, keep standing strong for the tribal nations. I'm Hal Heaton. My English name is Aaron Thomas. We'll see you next time on the Daily Sovereignty Report.